When you write music, what inspires you the most? What inspires me the most when I write music? Probably my ex-girlfriend.
After 2 weddings, a documentary, and plenty of paparazzi photos showing them hand in hand, it's easy to imagine Justin Bieber and his wife, Hailey Baldwin, living in a fantasy of marital bliss. In an interview with GQ, Bieber explained that any assumptions of an easy marriage are completely false, because he noted that the first year together was really tough and cited a lack of trust for the rocky beginning. Hey guys, welcome to Trendy Vert. In today's video, we're going to answer this question for you and let you in on news about Hailey Bieber being asked to leave Justin for his toxicity. So let's go ahead and find out. To what extent are you willing to stick with someone in the name of love? Society tells us time and again how real love is built on endless determination, persistence, and endurance. It's often portrayed as a tense, aching, and maddening arrangement that can only survive if the parties remain patient until the very end. If they're able to set aside their differences to be there for each other, consequences be damned. However, is love worth it if it's tearing you apart from the inside out? What if you can't help but fall back into the same old toxic behavioral patterns? Do you wait your entire life in the hopes it will get better? Or do you say enough and let go of the relationship for good? Hailey Bieber experienced a similar ordeal in her early years of marriage to Justin Bieber. Everyone is well acquainted with their story. Childhood friends to whirlwind romance to a walk down the aisle. It's a fairy tale by all appearances, but in reality, there's more to the situation than meets the eye. Bieber and Baldwin got married in September 2018 at a New York City courthouse before having a bigger ceremony in South Carolina a year later. But he noted that before the wedding, he just endured a period of drugs, drinking, and public scandal, so he didn't trust himself to open up completely and be himself. The first year of marriage was really tough because there was a lot going back to the trauma stuff, he said. There was just a lack of trust. There was all these things that you don't want to admit to the person that you're with because it's scary. You don't want to scare them off by saying, "I'm scared." Bieber credits his wife and his faith for keeping him stable and focused. Before he met Baldwin, he said that he knew he wanted to get married and have kids, but also feels like the two of them have plenty of time to get to that. It's beautiful that we have that to look forward to. Before, I didn't have that to look forward to in my life, he said. My home life was unstable, like my home life did not exist. I didn't have a significant other. I didn't have someone to love. I didn't have someone to pour into. But now I have that. Bieber finished by saying that he sees the period of self-doubt as an opportunity for growth. He wanted to talk about it so that other people could see it the same way. I don't want to let my shame of my past dictate what I'm able to do now for people. A lot of people let their past weigh them down. And they never do what they want because they think they're not good enough, he said. But I'm like, I did a bunch of stupid shit. That's okay. I'm still available. I'm still available to help, and I'm still worthy of helping. In a recent episode of the podcast, In Good Faith with Chelsea and Judah Smith, Justin and Hailey Bieber discussed the former's mental health crisis, which initially loomed over their marriage like a ghastly cloud, and threatened their ability to be compassionate towards one another. It had become so severe at one point that Hailey called her mother in tears and broke down, terrified of spending the rest of her life with Justin. I was calling her, I was crying, and I was like, I just can't do it, she said. She was only 21 when they tied the knot, far too young to be undergoing such trying circumstances, especially alongside a figure as enormous as Justin Bieber. Hailey didn't think she'd have so much on her plate as his wife. And with his mental well-being deteriorating by the day and the relationship becoming increasingly toxic, she wondered if she would continue to have this predicament forever. Hailey's mother, Kenya Baldwin, who's been with her father Stephen Baldwin since she was 19, consoled her daughter and told her the moment would pass and Justin would eventually be healthy enough for her. The 24-year-old said her mother's support allowed her to reframe her perspective and think clearly. Hailey told herself she was in it for better or worse, and that it was her decision to settle down with Justin at the end of the day. She's known him since they were children, and with what they'd promised to each other in their nuptials, Hailey knew this wasn't the time to leave him high and dry. Not when he was feeling down in the dumps and feeling so lost and overwhelmed. Hailey said she couldn't possibly leave him in the middle of the worst time of his life, not after everything they'd been through to become husband and wife. She wiped away her tears and started viewing her marriage through a different lens. She decided she was going to stick it out with him, no matter the outcome, as in her mind, that's exactly what she signed up for when she said yes to his proposal. Hailey eventually realized that she made the right call to soldier on with Justin and steer him towards recovery. However, while she might have found some light at the end of the tunnel, this isn't the case for most people. From Justin's standpoint, he was aware of the healing he had to do to get to a point where he genuinely deserved Hailey's companionship. He wasn't going to take her commitment for granted. He was going to implement some significant changes in his lifestyle to ensure that their marriage remained intact. "I just committed to working on those things and getting healthy," he said. Justin did the right thing to assess his mental health, but not every partner will be as self-aware or focused as him. If your partner is abusive towards you or others, it's high time you consider packing your bags and leaving them. There's no point in trying to fix what is an irreparable condition. You owe it to yourself to move forward and leave the demons in the rearview mirror, as much as it hurts to think about them. Another example of dealing with Justin might be the series of photos that show him crying on a public bench with his wife, Hailey Baldwin. The series of pictures, taken by Paps in 2018, sparked concern from his fans as the star looked teary and held his head in his hands. At one point, he comforted Hailey, who was his fiancée at the time, also by leaning on her shoulder and putting his face in her neck. Many feared that the star was finding things a bit tough, but the Yummy singer explained he wasn't having a breakdown. Opening up in the latest episode of his YouTube documentary series, Justin Bieber Seasons, he said, "I was just being a normal person and crying. When I'm upset in the media and I look at things on the internet and people are like, 'Justin's upset. Why is he upset?' It's like they don't give me permission to be upset." There are so many people every day who are in conversation with their girl or their wife or their mom and they break down, but they don't have cameras capturing them. So people are like, "Is he okay? Is he having a mental breakdown?" However, he went on to add that things had been getting on top of him at that point. "I just remember struggling," he said. "There's been a lot of things that have happened in my life, and I think this was a point in my life where I was just so overwhelmed." Hailey added that everyone experiences ups and downs in life. There's always going to be good days and bad days, if you work a 9 to 5 or if you're Justin, she said. It doesn't really matter who you are. Everyone's going to have days where they feel crappy and they don't feel like pushing through that day, but it's part of life. With all these things going on with her husband and a major career, Hailey must have been advised by her celeb friends like Kendall or Kylie to let go of Biebs, but looks like she wants to keep on dealing with his toxicity. Will Hailey listen to her friends and leave Bieber? What do you think? Please let us know in the comments below. And find out more about what's going on in the lives of your famous celebrities. Hit the like and subscribe button. Take care.